Hey guys, so I've had a couple of comments on some of my videos asking if I'd ever make a Feral Druid guide. So I thought I'd give that a go just now. I'll talk about both talents and legendaries in a raiding environment for this one. So jumping right in, what you'll see here is my standard talent setup for single target uh, in a raid. So I go with Lunar Inspiration. The difference between that and Blood Scent is fairly small. You could get away with using either one. For me, Lunar Inspiration does sim higher, and I find it more fun to play with, so that's what I roll with. But if you feel like you'd maybe struggle managing an extra dot, or you just don't like that, Blood Scent is still perfectly viable. Uh, Level 30 tier is pretty much just preference. I usually go with Wild Charge. I like the variation you get with that between Travel Form and Moonkin Form. And it's got a shorter cooldown, so you can get more uses out of it on a lot of fights. Displacer Beast is obviously nice for certain encounters. Anything where you maybe need to blink through like a wall of fire or something. I use it on Argus as well on Mythic, just so I can quickly jump from one side of the boss to the other if I have the spread debuff. Level 45, you pretty much always want balance affinity. The increased range on your melee abilities is just it just doesn't it's so much better than anything else really. Guardian affinity is nice, I guess, if you're taking a lot of damage, struggling to survive, but most of the time I would certainly recommend balance affinity. Level 60 is just preference. Typhoon and Mass Entanglement have uses on things like Agrimar and Coven, so you can pick either one of them dependent. Level 75, you will basically roll with Incarnation the entire time. Just the burst damage you can get from having that cooldown is insane. I don't think I've deselected this talent in a long time. Jagged Wounds is just not viable anymore since the rework a couple of months ago. Much less of our damage is actually um, worked into our bleeds, so it's just not worth taking at the moment. You'll see I've got Soul of the Forest as well. That's because I'm using the legendary ring, talent ring. I'll discuss that a bit later in the video, but that talent is also nice. It kind of smooths out the rotation and helps with your energy generation. So level 90 talents, single target wise, you want to go Savage Roar. The difference between that and Brutal Slash isn't huge. Brutal Slash is still reasonable on single target. Savage Roar is always going to be better though, so if you can, I would really recommend taking that. It's not really too much to manage. It lasts about 40 seconds or so if you clip it, so like one button every 40 seconds. Yeah, I see a lot of people asking about Sabretooth. I wouldn't recommend ever taking it. It does make the rotation easier, I suppose, because you don't need to refresh rip, but just losing out on Savage Roar Brutal Slash is just not worth it, so avoid it if you can. Level 100, again another one that gets asked a lot is is Moment of Clarity actually better than Blood Talons? At the moment it is. The increased proc chance on it is nice. It does rely a little bit on RNG, but you do get them fairly often. The increased energy you get is also really nice. It just helps with avoiding capping. And the fact that it buffs Shred mainly is, and Brutal Slash if you take that, is nice because that's where a lot of our damage is based at the moment. You can still use Blood Talons. It's typically going to similar for most people, if not everybody. So it does for me. But it adds a bit more fun to the playstyle. So I would recommend Moment of Clarity. And Illusion's Guidance does not have any significant use at the moment, so ignore that. Okay, so that said, legendary wise, for single target, you will typically use Behemoth's Headdress, the helmet. This obviously increases the duration of your Trigger's Fury, depending on how many combo points you use on your finishers. It's a nice legendary. It just helps you maintain your Tiger's Fury buff. Sometimes with good procs you can maintain it throughout your whole incarn, which is really nice. I like it. I think it adds a little bit more to the gameplay, and it's quite fun. The other one is Soul of the Archdruid. This obviously gives you the Soul of the Forest talent, which I was talking about earlier. Finishing moves grant 5 energy per combo point. It just it's not so much of a problem these days with Feral being energy starved. But this does still help with that. So you use a 5 combo point finisher, you get 25 energy back, which is just really nice. It just smooths out the gameplay and just makes it feel like you've got less downtime. You can alternately use the energy ring. I see a lot of people using that, even on single target. It's something you'd kind of want to sim yourself to see which one's better. This one obviously gives you a larger energy pool, which can help avoid capping on energy, which can often happen if you get a lot of moment of clarity procs or foresight procs or whatever. I still sim higher with Soul of the Archdruid, so that's typically why you use in single targets. Okay, so the next build is your typical AoE build for raiding, which only changes up to uh, 2 talents. One is Predator. This lets you reset your Tiger's Fury cooldown whenever you kill a target that has a bleed effect on it. So obviously this is super nice on things like Portal Keeper, High Command, ENR, just anything with fairly regular adds that you can reset your Tiger's Fury off of. It just lets you have more energy, more damage. It's just nice. Level 13.5 and 60 are all preference. You still keep with Incarnation. It's just having that cooldown is still really kind of too strong to give up. For level 90, you obviously go with Brutal Slash. As soon as you get more than one target, and especially with adds, having this talent is just huge. It'll be a massive portion of your damage. And what you want to do with it is try and save up your charges for when ad spawns occur. So obviously, you don't want to cap on your charges, but at the same time, if you can have 3 charges up for when the ad spawn on like high command, that is really nice. You can burn through them and do a lot of damage. And level 100, you keep with moment of clarity as well, the same. Legendary wise, typically for AoE, you'd use Lufas. It just increases the range and damage of Thrash. So that's obviously nice. It's just extra damage when you're AoEing. And the energy ring as well is arguably better than Soul of the Archdruid for AoE, mainly just because it gives you a larger energy pool, so it lets you pool more energy ahead of ad spawning. If you can save up to 200 and however much energy you have just before the ad spawn, you can pretty much just burst them down with Brutal Slash and Thrash without any downtime, which is really nice. So those are the basic setups for single target and AoE. What I find on some fights is you maybe want to kind of go like a mix. So what I mean by that is take high command, for instance, on maybe like normal or heroic. If you've got like quite a high level group, the ads are going to die very fast, so you maybe not get much use out of like Lufas, for instance. You'd maybe get like 1 or 2 thrashes. So what I sometimes go with is I'll switch back to behemoths. I'll keep with the AoE talents because you can obviously still get Tiger's Fury resets from Predator, and Brutal Slash is obviously great. You can still use up all your charges in a fairly short amount of time. But Behemoth then lets you do kind of more single target damage, lets you keep your Tiger's Fury rolling a bit longer. You can kind of switch between the Energy Ring and Soul of the Archdruid depending on what you feel. If the ads are up for long enough that you can burn through like 200 plus energy, then you could probably go with the Energy Ring. But otherwise, I think Soul of the Archdruid is nice because it gives you more energy throughout the fight when you're just single targeting. But yeah, that's I think it for now. I'll do I'll maybe do some more videos later on, talking about kind of, stat priorities and gear, and rotation, obviously. But yeah, please let me know what you think of this. I will say I don't consider myself like an expert at Feral. I play at quite a high level and I have high parses, but I don't really do any theory crafting or anything like that. So everything's that I've kind of learned is just from practice myself or looking at other people's logs or reading like Feral Discord and all that. So if there's anything you disagree with, please feel free to let me know. But yeah, hope this was helpful and thank you for watching.